Good evening. Welcome to the latest edition of Blue York One News. I'm Jonathan Sauerschell from NYCFCBlues.com and Blue City Radio. This week, we got some more news to bring you for the club, including some actual game action to discuss. But first, we want to start off with a bit of roster news that is bittersweet, to say the least. Chris Wingert was waived by NYCFC this past week. The 33-year-old left back was a staple of the team last year, starting off the year at center back and then going back to his regular left back position and establishing himself as a full-time starter. He played through pain, he played through a lot of injuries and got beat up a lot, but he never seemed to shirk in his responsibility, nor did he ever complain. There was some expectation that he would be with the club this year, but at a salary of over $200,000 for the previous season, coming up on the age of 34, and with the club bringing in younger, more athletic players at that position, in some ways it's not a total shock that he's been let go. He had not reported for training, preseason training in Florida with the team, so it seems that it might have been known on at least on his end for a little while as well. But the club did make it official, and they've waived Chris Wingert. Truthfully, he is a really good guy, a really loyal player, a wonderful person, and ultimately we wish him the best both in his career and his life, wherever it may lead him. It is bittersweet to see him go while the team has gotten younger and more athletic and maybe ultimately better. It's still not easy letting somebody go, especially somebody who's local for Babylon, New York. So good luck, Chris. We're sorry it didn't last longer. I wish you all the best. Part of the reason that Chris Wingert was let go was we added another center back, Frederick Brilliant. And I believe last week I said Ronald Brilliant, which epically great on my part. It's Frederick Brilliant. I talked about it last week. He has been made official. 30-year-old French center back coming over from K.V. Ostende in Belgium. He is joining the club on a free transfer, and once he gets his visa set up, he will be joining the team for preseason training. There is a hope that he will add poise and experience to the back line. He is described as being very good on the ball, and last week I briefly mentioned a video that was some videos on him on YouTube, and he seems confident. He seems aggressive, which is a good thing, I think. And he really could add a lot to this team. And at 30, he's a veteran, but he's not mid-30s. He's not over the hill either. So we look forward to seeing him join the club. Frederick Brilliant, 30-year-old French center back, will be joining NYCFC. And we actually have some game action to discuss this week. NYCFC played their first game of the preseason, if you could call it that. Some may refer to it as a scrimmage. Ultimately, it was their first game action that they've had as a team since their friendly in Puerto Rico in December. Down in Florida, they played Florida Gulf Coast University, the men's team there, in a game. They changed the rules slightly. I think the time was shortened slightly. They also did shorten the field to the dimensions of Yankee Stadium's field, so interesting move by Florida Gulf Coast University. I think that's helpful for NYCFC and our players to get used to the dimensions, especially some of our new players. While the results in these sorts of things don't matter too much, we can tell you that Patrick Mullins scored the only goal in a 1-0 victory for NYCFC. It was off of a cross by R.J. Allen. The team did not televise the game, but Dan from NYCFC Forums was at the game. He's actually a Florida resident, and managed to get some good video of the action that is posted through NYCFC forums. So we certainly recommend checking that out. In terms of NYCFC, they started out in a 4-3-3 formation, which fits what Patrick Vieira actually said to Dylan Butler, MLSsoccer.com, on Sunday, that's a formation he prefers to play, and he's going to try playing that a lot. Though he did also mention that he'll try different formations during preseason to see what works and what doesn't. But it was predominantly a 4-3-3. They started with a midfield three of Quadrupoku, Andrea Pirlo, Frank Lampard, and David Villa was the main striker, flanked by two wingers. Started off with the trialist Musa Sane, 18-year-old trialist, and then Tony Taylor. Unfortunately for Moussa Sané, he started brightly. He then pulled up with a hamstring injury in the 14th minute and was replaced by Mehdi Bellucci. Tony Taylor did have a bright game though. Quadrupoku, Frank Lampard, and Villa all hit the post or crossbar, and the team, in general looked pretty good. Pirlo sprayed some nice passes around. It is tough to tell about the defense. They were not challenged very often, so it really can't judge anything on that. Ronald Matarrita did seem to have a very nice game, and Patrick Vieira even said afterwards that he played, quote, a perfect game. So he seems to be high on our new left back, and that is a good sign. I think a lot is expected of him. The 21-year-old, the Costa Rican international, I think a lot is expected of him for NYCFC, and it seems like he had a good start. Ultimately, the second half, a lot of substitutions, a lot of players got in. The players we really didn't see, besides Mix Diskerud and Kyrie Shelton, who are with the United States men's national team, are Andrew Jacobson, Jefferson Mena, who both were listed as being hurt and did not dress. Jefferson Mena actually went back to New York prior to that because of his injury. Andrew Jacobson did not dress, but he was at the game. We also did not see Frederick Brilliant and Diego Martinez, for they had not received their visas yet, so they have not been able to join the club. We did get to see Mikey Lopez, who inaugurated his NYCFC career with a lot of challenges and a yellow card. He seems to be an aggressive defensive midfielder, which is both good and potentially bad, so something to look forward to in the 2016 season. But it was good to get a run out. Other than the Sané injury, there was no injuries of note during the game. And the team is actually now back in New York preparing for the rest of preseason when they actually return to the state of Florida and participate in a preseason tournament and have a few games coming up starting in the middle of the month. And by that point, they'll be rejoined by Mix, Diskerud, Kyrie Shelton, hopefully Frederick Brilliant and Diego Martinez, and and hopefully that all players come in healthy and ready to go, as well as Andrew Jacobson and Jefferson Mena. So we will see them play again in about 10 days' time is their first preseason game back down in the state of Florida. And of course, we'll report on that as it occurs. In other game action, the U.S. men's national team actually played their first game of the 2016 season on Sunday as well in Los Angeles, California, at the StubHub Center. They took on the Iceland national team. Iceland, who have easily qualified for the European Championships in 2016 and actually boast a pretty talented squad. The United States, using mostly MLS-based players or free agents. There was none of their European-based players or even all of their MLS-based players. Clint Dempsey was not there. The USA managed to actually grind out a 3-2 victory over Iceland. They held a lion's share of possession, over 60%, and they definitely did more in the final third than they have previously. For NYCFC purposes, Mix Diskerud dressed but did not play. Kyrie Shelton did not dress. There is another friendly coming up on Friday against Canada, which could prove interesting. You might get to see Kyle Larin play for the Canadians. Mix Diskerud and Kyrie Shelton are still part of the United States team. They have stayed in camp for the rest of the week. They have not been sent back to their clubs, so we might be able to see one or both of them on Friday. But that will be Friday evening against Canada. That's something to look forward to. I believe it's around 7 o'clock Eastern time. So they'll have one more friendly, and then camp will break up, and Mix and Kyrie will join NYCFC for the rest of their preseason. And the one final bit of news today, actually, it comes from our Director of Football Operations, Claudio Reyna. Claudio Reyna recently, within the last couple of days, had an interview with MLSsoccer.com, and it was asking about homegrown players, specifically players from an NYCFC academy. Claudio Reyna stated that they will not be signing anybody, any sort of homegrown player out of the academy system until 2018. He said it'll be a couple years. And while this created some controversy, it's kind of logical. The first academy team that started this past year was ages 13 and 14. It's going to take 3 to 4 years before they are in a position to potentially be signed, if any of those players are deemed quality enough to be signed by NYCFC. So that would put it at about 2018. While we all want a vibrant academy system, and that is the goal of NYCFC, it takes a few years to build. While we could argue that maybe we wish they had started earlier, they have started. It's a process, and it's not really surprising. I think some have compared this to the Red Bulls, who just signed 8 homegrown players this offseason. Red Bulls have had an academy for years. It's a little unfair comparison. Also, kind of ignores the fact that NYCFC have added 5 players aged 24 or younger this season, professional players, to their first team roster. So they're obviously getting younger anyway, so that way they don't have to turn over the roster so quickly in the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that's a big part of this. They're looking to long-term growth both in their first team roster, and then also gives them time to build and develop their academy and any talent that comes out of there. So while it is interesting from a headline standpoint, ultimately 2018 is not that far away. We're really only a couple years away, and we could start to see the fruits of the NYCFC Academy system, their affiliate program. We could see that happening within about a couple years' time, according to Claudio Reyna, and I think that's fairly appropriate and it's something to look forward to. And in the meantime, we have gotten a lot younger on the first team roster with a lot of exciting athletic players, and that should be with the team for multiple years no matter what. So something to look forward to, just continuing the growth of NYCFC, and as the years go on, it'll just grow bigger and bigger and stronger, and that is what we want to see. And with that, it concludes this week's Blue York One News. I'm Jonathan Sauerschell from NYCFCBlues.com and Blue City Radio. You can check me out, listen to me at Blue City Radio, our weekly podcast. You can follow us at Blue City Radio, at NYCFC Blues, and we look forward to bringing you more news in the coming weeks. Thank you very much.